welcome back to Locked In with Lola. This is your second episode of a poolside conversation with Otto. This is Otto wearing the flame jacket that you actually bought from Portugal. I hope you guys enjoyed the last one with Edie. I really want to talk to Otto a lot about music today because I think that's been a big passion in his life, that just like Edie, he kind of turned into this want for a career in a similar path, but slightly different and slightly more behind the scenes kind of thing. So would you like to introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
I'd love to, Lola. Hi, I'm Otto. I play in a band called Living Island on the guitar. I also play bass for a girl called Ava Zarati. And I like music. I'm studying a music industry management course at a lovely place called Point Blank in Hackney. And it's great fun. Just finished my first year.
As Otto said, he is doing it's raining a little bit, guys, but which is kind of crazy in Portugal, but whatever. As Otto just said, he is doing a music management course at Point Blank in Hackney, and that's kind of what I was going on about how your love of music has kind of turned into a want for a career. So I was wondering how you could tell me, and everyone hopefully listening, how you got into loving music, what it's meant for you and your family, because I do think your family are very into maybe like a tribute band for a certain act. Yep, all of that. And so I would just love to know about, what music means to you and your family.
Right. So music. Let's see here. Fuck, it's really raining. I guess it started like with my dad playing drums, probably, and drums is just fucking sick. Drums are great. Drums are a great way to get into music. I think having a foundation for a good sense of rhythm is like one of the best tools you can have, you know. And that goes for dancing as well.
Which is something he is actually extremely talented at.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Big dancer.
Big dancer.
So probably started off with drums and then ended up getting into guitar. Like classic thing of like secondary school guitar lessons, primary school guitar lessons, rock school grades, all that bullshit. And then playing in bands. Since like 11 or 12 or something. And then I guess I've been doing that for ages and playing in several bands, but then you kind of realise that maybe you're not gonna be the next Beatles potentially, that maybe you can do something in music that's not just playing, and maybe you can play on the side during your job, you know. So obviously I didn't want to do any old job. I wanted to do something with music. So that's why I wanted to do this music industry course. It's basically just a way of me still working in music, but not so unreliably.
When we've been talking a little bit about your music management course, I think you decided that working in actual management is not something that you're actually that interested in. And I think because being a manager is not what it was like in the old days. It's nothing like that. Or even being an A&R, like, you know, you're used to be able to have like massive offices to yourself, and now you're given YouTube and a pair of headphones. So I think it's really interesting, how you've developed from loving playing music to doing music as a kind of side thing, and now doing a music management course and actually deciding there's something you like more in that. So can you tell us a little bit about what I'm insinuating? Pretty please.
Yeah, sure. I'd say like over the last year, probably the thing that I've gotten most into is music licensing. So if anyone doesn't know what that is, it's basically like so if a TV show or film company or advert company, any kind of media needs music, they will employ someone called a music supervisor, and they will come in and either just go out and secure the rights for certain music, or actually go and find the music and secure the rights. So I think it's a great thing because it's like it's all about appreciation of music, and like half a supervisor's job is just listening to music, which is, I'd say, a difficult thing because it's always hard to have your job as your main passion. I think that is always a tricky thing because you're kind of blending leisure with work life, which is a weird one. But I think in the long run, doing something you're passionate about, and I am very passionate about listening to music, is a great thing. Yeah. So, do you want me to talk about my assignment? It's kind of interesting. So one of my assignments recently was to basically act as this music supervisor, and we got given this brief to it was like, you have £6,000. This is all make believe, by the way. I didn't actually have £6,000. And I know. And then you have to. There's a TV scene for a TV program. And at the end of it, a character dies, and you need to find the music to sync up to that moment. Yeah. So no other information. You don't know whether this person is a good guy or a bad guy or anything. Don't know what the TV show's about. So yeah, it was really interesting because also £6,000. You're not gonna be able to go out and get Ed Sheeran. So that's the other thing. The other great thing about music licensing is it really pushes you to find new music and underground music, because you need to get it for cheap, and underground artists will do anything for a bit of money. So yeah, like basically it kind of sent me on this little search for music surrounding death, which is pretty interesting, and discovered this thing called the Dies Irae. Now, the Dies Irae is a 13th century Gregorian chant, Catholic kind of chant, right? That they would sing at funerals. And it's really spooky. Like, it's fucking horrifying. But why is it horrifying, I hear you ask?
Why is it horrifying?
Well, it's horrifying for a few reasons, which and that question kind of sent me on an extra little journey to find out what makes music sad and why certain music makes us sad. And it's a bit of a mystery.
Just straight Coldplay, Fix You, Yellow vibes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why does Coldplay make you want to cry? That's what we need to find out. So essentially, the Dies Irae is associated with death and sadness for a few different reasons. So I guess if you see the notation of the actual Dies Irae, one part of it being sad is that it is descending, which is generally, as a general rule, descending melodies are sadder than ascending melodies. So that's one thing. It's in a minor scale. So, like, again, as a general rule, major is happy, minor is sad. And then another thing is it uses things called half steps. And essentially, half steps make us feel very uncomfortable. So, it's like, without getting too technical, it's like, imagine you go from A to B, the note A to B, that's fine, but A sharp to A to A sharp is like, ugh, very creepy. So all of those things put together makes for a very sad and disturbing, unsettling melody. Yeah, so this is, I'm really going into detail with this, but I'm just gonna roll with it.
In case you haven't noticed, everyone, it is chucking it down, and but this is what we do for you guys.
We're loving it here in the Algarve. Tea. Yay! Lovely.
Is that a hot chocolate?
Thanks. Okay, so yes, I went on this hunt for sad music, and particularly of the Dies Irae variety, and I found this piece called Dies Irae by a Polish composer called Preisner, and it's very cool.
So we did just have to take a little break because the rain started to get more than spitting and it got intense. But we even managed to source an umbrella for you guys, well, for us. But you were telling me about this Polish musician, right? Called Preisner. Okay. See, the memory is lacking. But can you tell me more about Preisner and carry on about the wonderful story that you're talking about?
I can. So Preisner. Now, this Dies Irae song is from an album called Requiem for a Friend. Requiem is like another word for a funeral, basically. So Preisner is this composer. He's a film composer, and he worked a lot with a Polish film director whose name escapes me. I can't remember his name. And they were like besties, right? And they worked on films all the time together. So Requiem for a Friend was released in 1998, I believe. And his mate died in 1997. Okay. So and essentially it was Requiem for a Friend was a tribute to his mate. This director. So he was working on this during his mate's death, like long-term illness. Very intense. Yeah, very intense. And what makes it even more intense is that this album was actually played. So Preisner talks about this, and he said that the album was actually played to his mate in his final moments. So basically, Preisner played this album to him, which was unreleased at the time, on his deathbed as he was dying. So, yeah, it's like
also kind of romantic in a weird way.
Very romantic.
In a weird way, I think if you're able to say goodbye to someone, the best gift you can really probably give them is something of music, I think, honestly, because music like everyone loves music, and if you have a talented friend who's created perhaps a sad tune but still a very beautiful romantic tune for you, I think that would be something that one of the nicest ways, I would say, to experience your final few moments. Obviously I'm not experiencing my final few moments, even though a second ago I did feel like I was, but yeah, I think that's very romantic in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Also very booky, which is perfect for my assignment. So yes, because like the guy only had like I don't know, maybe it's like 1 million streams on Spotify or something. So absolutely fine, well within budget. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's this mad track that kind of it revolves around the Dies Irae, and then it has these crazy like opera vocals in it. It's amazing, and it's absolutely terrifying and perfect for a death scene, in my opinion. However, we hit a wall. We hit big old iceberg in the shape of The Crown, the TV show The Crown. Yes. So essentially, I was all happy. I was writing my assignment. It was all having a great time, and I decided to look up this Dies Irae song on YouTube, and turns out it was used in The Crown, which is shit a brick, which is a big no-no for a music supervisor. It's generally considered distasteful to use another TV show's music, especially when it's The Crown. So I was very angry. Sips tea. I was very, very angry. Like, so pissed off. Because I was so happy with it. But I think that perfectly illustrates how things can go wrong in the industry. And it's all about how you can fucking get over it and you know, improvise.
Was that your big message? That things can go wrong?
Yes.
I love it. Exactly. Well, that sounds extremely interesting and way more of an exciting assignment than anyone that I've had in the last 2 years. And I think that's why it sounds like your music management course is not only allowing you to, you know, learn how to be a manager and all the other stuff, but also explore music that you wouldn't have really listened to before. Because you probably weren't in like a chamber choir at school. No, Chiswick didn't offer that. No. Yeah, I think one thing about also being a music supervisor is you're also not going to be listening to music that you always like all the time. But I think when it comes to jobs in the industry, it's not about music that you like, it's about music that you think will sell or work well. And that especially comes to being a manager and stuff like that. And you probably would have learnt this, is that, you know, you're not your target audience. If you're working with classical crossover artists, their audience is who you're doing things for. Because I don't, you know, Requiem's probably beautiful and you probably love it now, but you probably would never have explored that song before. And so I think that's very interesting in itself.
Hello, it's Edie and Otto from Living Island, and we're going to sing you a little song called Lovely People.
Could we perhaps talk a bit more about your actual music playing, what you do with Living Island? I know Edie talked a little bit more about that earlier, but also what you do with Ava, because I've played her on Locked In with Lola this year, and she's very, very, she's very, very talented. And yeah, if you can tell us a little bit more about your guitar playing and what it's like to be in a band. And I know that's been put to the side, and this year's been very hard. But just give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. All right. So, I guess we'll start with Living Island. I play like I guess like decorative guitar over the top. I just like mess about over the top of the band, along with the lovely Edie Chesters on the synth. So yeah, it's like mostly my sound is like very like chorus driven, like a chorus pedal. Use that a lot, and like loads of reverb and all that nice stuff. And it's good. It's a very good job to have because I don't actually have to think that much about writing songs. It's more just like, oh yeah, this sounds good. I'm gonna play this for a bit, and like I'm usually only like playing a few notes, so it's kind of perfect. If you can like get that job, then like you're set. Anyone can do it, honestly. So yeah, that's great fun, and like playing gigs is just the best. Obviously there's been none of that. We haven't played a gig in lockdown either, like one of those sitting down things, because it's not us. I mean, it's partly down to us being lazy, but also just it's not us. We're way better than that. But yeah, so that's Living Island. Great stuff. And then Ava was just like making music on a computer and wanted to play some gigs. So she knew I went to sixth form with her, and she knew I played bass, so and guitar and stuff. That's the other thing about guitar. You can play bass if you can play guitar, which is like you can't really say that about other instruments.
Can you play any string instruments? Do you think you'd be able to play?
No way. I could probably pluck it, but I don't think I could bow it. But yeah, so yeah, it's just like nice jazzy, kind of like indie jazz kind of vibes. Bit of bossa nova mixed in there as well. Yeah, and it's just great fun.
I now also want to talk to you about fashion, because I know you're not into big brands and like showy offy kind of fashion, but if you can perhaps stand up for us very quickly. Yeah, I was about to say, if you could stand up for us quickly and show the top half of your outfit, I'd be extremely grateful, and I think everyone would be as well. So here we see a fire jacket. Can you see it? Yep. Amazing. Can you tell me a bit about that and a bit about what you like about fashion and where you go to source your fashion? Maybe even about the rings and stuff like that.
This is great. Fuck. So this jacket's banging. If you hadn't have noticed, I got it in a Portuguese market down the road a few days ago. 20 quid. No, 25 quid. I tried to get it for 20 quid. One of my favourite things about it is like the mohair part of it, because if you like mohair, you know how hard it is to find it on Depop for a reasonable price. Unless it's really ugly, because like I think Needles is the brand that do the mohair thing, and they're all like 300 quid each. But this is like banging. Anyway, the flames. It's obviously rock and roll, but it's also very year 6 disco. It's just really fun. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. But I think the flame thing became quite like fashionable because of the meme of like there was like a starter pack of like the year 6 disco, and there was like it was like Fanta and like those little sherbet.
Poundland Bandit kind of.
Yeah. Like sherbet, straws, Fanta, Get in Touch, Poundland Bandit, and then this flame shirt that everyone wore for some reason. So then this became really fashionable, and I think it's really cool. I have a lot of fun wearing it. And anyway, fashion, yeah. Charity shops is obviously just like the best place on earth.
Tell us how you managed to like source things in charity shops, because I do struggle, honestly, and all my friends know this, and I mean there's no point me even having that conversation with them anymore, but when I enter a charity shop, I do find it hard to find quality pieces and to put the effort into it. I much prefer vintage shopping or Depop in general, because everything's just laid out really clearly for you. So can you tell me perhaps a way of enjoying charity shopping, or where am I going to the wrong ones? Like, where do you go to?
Where are you going to?
Exeter High Street, which says a lot. And if you are watching this from Exeter, you know that Exeter High Street is not the place to go charity shopping. More like Exmouth actually has some good things. And in London, perhaps around the Notting Hill area when I was younger, just like the different cancer researchers and Oxfams.
Well, Notting Hill is obviously good, but it's very expensive, and it's very, like, you know, everyone goes to Portobello Market to get some clothes and like some rings and stuff. So I think the best place for charity shops is a little sleepy town called Barnes, because it's sweet, because it's like,
Barnes a town.
I don't know what it is. Yeah. So yeah, it's great because it's like everyone there, well, basically everyone there is like pretty minted. So you get like some quite fancy stuff that gets chucked in the charity shop. And it's also not super bait. So like they won't sell it for loads of money. Essentially, some places will charge a lot of money, which is cool. If you can spend that, then that's great. But I can't. Yeah, Barnes is great for clothes. I'd say if you're in a charity shop, like, the main thing is just to stick at it, because you'll sift through like so much absolute trash, like so much rubbish stuff. But then you'll find something great. But it's also like you got to have a lot of imagination when you're doing it as well, because like you got to like picture yourself in the fit and be like, do I like it? Most of the time it's like, no, that's awful, but like some of the time it's great. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the tips. And I think Sam and Lara, the other people we were on holiday with, said that their friend managed to find a full suit for £7 the other day, and it was a really good one. So you obviously can find things that are good. I think Bristol looks really cool for vintage shopping. Personally, I've been there and I've found some really cool things, but I think I am a bit obsessed with brands, and perhaps that's where I need to kind of lose the ego towards brands and kind of go for non-branded stuff. But that's another thing.
What brands do you like?
So there's some Depop shops, I'll shout them out, like Past Trash, Alice Fletcher D, and even Nude Lagoon, that managed to source some really cool like Versace, Dolce & Gabbana jeans for about like 60, which for me is a really good price for those kind of things, because I see them as investment pieces personally. When I vintage shop, I'm like, these are clothes that I'm going to wear even when I'm 50, because they're so cool. And so I'll only spend that amount of money, and I only really buy new clothes from Depop now that are like that, because I have all the basics I need at this age anyway. And I'm like, if I want to get something special, then it's an investment piece. And if I'm spending £60 on a pair of Versace jeans, and they're great, I think that's much better than going to Urban Outfitters and spending £60 on a pair of jeans that everyone's wearing. So for me, that's how I justify my spending habits on like designer brands. And I mean, yesterday Ollie and I bought a vintage Balenciaga jumper for £45 off Depop, which I actually think is not bad. It was on sale from £19 as well, and actually it's split in two, so it's actually only 25 each because we're gonna halves it.
I'm impressed with that. But is it actually nice, or is it just Balenciaga?
It's actually nice, and I think it's what's that, Argyle? Do you know what I'm on about? The Argyle pattern print thing. It's like the crosses and like stuff like that. Yeah, that on one side, and it's beige as well. And I think what Ollie and I are doing is halvesing it. So it's actually probably our first shared wardrobe item. Obviously, everything. The thing is, we share a lot of clothes. Yeah. We share a lot of clothes, but I think this is our first buy that's like, this is for you to have half of the time and me to have half the time. So I mean, £25 each I think is quite good, and I think I'll show you a couple more of the outfits, or not the outfits, the piece of clothes that I've bought, and I think you'll think they're actually very valuable. Anyway, my next question, I kind of did this with Edie and I want to do it with you too. It's like a quick fire round. We've kind of covered the fashion quick fire round, but we haven't covered, I think, the music quick fire. So let's start with that first. Music, food and London. Those are the quick fire. So name me your top 5 albums ever.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, God. Top 5. Okay, well, if I wanted to do that accurately, I'd have to sit here for like 5 days, and no one wants that.
Not in this rain.
So I'm just gonna list some good ones that would potentially be in my top 5. I reckon Pink Moon by Nick Drake is up there. I reckon if we're talking like what got me into music, the first Red Hot Chili Peppers album probably is up there.
Everyone who's watching is thumbsing up to all these.
Nice. Good. Probably The Queen is Dead by the Smiths. I do. It's probably up there. 2 more. Okay, let me think. Okay, I'm gonna stop there.
Well, epic. Or imagine if we did what's your favourite song. Even I couldn't answer that. I say mine at the moment is, well, this last year that I've discovered is I Would Die For You by Prince. I don't know if you guys have listened to it. It's so catchy. And, well, from these faces, I don't think you have. So that's what we're playing as soon as this interview is over, because it's a great tune. You just want to be dancing on stage with Prince. It's obviously we can't do, but anyways. R.I.P. Next question. Top place to eat that you've ever eaten at. Where would you tell people to go to a restaurant? And you can't say Marufo's, because that's what your lovely girlfriend said.
Wow. So many good places. I love Dishoom, which is a little Indian restaurant. There's a few of them in London. They're like pretty fancy, but it is like incredible. You go there. Before my vegetarian life, I was eating the chicken ruby, which is like, oh god, so good. But now I'm all about the paneer masala. Oh, that is banging. Anyway, yeah, Dishoom. There you go.
So my last question is, hello Lara. My last question is, someone has never visited London before. They're coming to London. Where should they go?
I have a feeling I'm gonna say the same thing as Edie. The Windmill in Brixton. Great music, great place.
Didn't they have like loads of support during Corona time as well from people?
Yeah. There was a big thing about that. They were on the news actually, which is a big flex. But yeah, like just incredible music, and like kind of started the careers of people like Black Midi and Black Country New Road and Shame and all of those good bands, Squid, all of that good stuff.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Otto Fitzgerald. It is extremely cold, so we're going to wrap this one up, but thank you everyone for listening to the second kind of instalment of Locked In with Lola's new podcast YouTube series. It's been a great pleasure having you on. I feel educated. I feel like everyone listening will feel educated. The audience feels educated, don't you? And hopefully next time we do one of these, it's going to be slightly sunnier, and maybe we should have just waited, but I'm kind of glad we did it in the rain. Added some pizzazz and flavour. Cool. Well, see you guys next time. Thank you.